Hello, everybody, and welcome to Athletic Definition. My name is Coach Ray Z, and happy Taco Tuesday. Today, if you're watching on the stream simulcast, I'm rocking my taco shirt. So happy Taco Tuesday. Enjoy it, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I decided to prompt show today because, I saw the Sports Illustrated covers and all the little controversies that are going up. So I'm like, hey, you know what? It's a good topic to cover. If this is your first time listening to the show, my name is Coach Ray Z, and basically my show is a variety show. I do things that have to do with sports or anything fitness, health related, as well as I bring on guests and we do interview style. And then I also let you know about my journeys that I do. For example, I have coming up this year the Lake Tahoe Triple Marathon, which will be 3 marathons in 3 days. That'll be in October. So I will basically, I think what I'll do is I'll share once a week how the training is going and what I do to prepare for that. Because I've looked, this would be the second time that I've done it. I did it back, I think, 2019, and I wanted to go back in 2020, and then the whole COVID happened, so I didn't get a chance to go. If you're watching above me, those are the 3 medals for running a marathon each day. And so I'll be sharing my journey, what I do. There was nothing when I looked up on the internet how to get ready for 3 marathons in 3 days. So if there is anybody who is going to try to attempt that and would like to know, I'm there. It is. It'll be something for you that you can try, or maybe even follow along with me, and you can still register for the race. I am not an ambassador for them or anything, but yeah, Lake Tahoe is beautiful. It could be definitely cold, but it's beautiful. And so today, I wanted to talk about, you know, the cover models, that they selected this year. And I started thinking, because I always think about sports as a business ever since I seen the movie A Bronx Tale with Sonny and Collage, oh, yeah, Sonny Collageal C, and he told them, about Mickey Mantle and that whole Mickey Mantle scene, and he tells them, "That's what you're upset about. Go ask. If your dad can't pay the rent, go tell me Mickey Mantle and see if he cares." And ever since then, that changed my whole perspective on sports. I've been a huge sports fan, but I realized it's a business, and I realized that I'd rather be more active than watching other people be active. So at that point, I shifted more into going out and playing basketball, even though I knew I wasn't going to go pro, but I'd rather play it than, be watching other people. I'd always get inspired and motivated to, go out and catch some passes, whatever it is, just from watching sports on TV. And then sports, I remember I never had Sports Illustrated. That was you know, something, and this is pre-internet, so I never had Sports Illustrated. I remember my friend who lived around the block. I used to go to his house, and they got Sports Illustrated every month, and I thought it was so cool. It's like you just get information about sports, and I would read the magazine, and I remember when the whole swimsuit would come out. Now, this swimsuit, the very first Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue that ever came out, was January 20th, 1964. And I'm sure some people are like, that has nothing to do with sports. And you're right. And what I'm talking about doesn't really have anything to do with sports. Um, but it's such a big moneymaker that, I mean, the demographics, basically, you bring on attractive women, young males, your subscriptions go up. I was trying to see how much Sports Illustrated is worth, and the only thing I could find was from the businessinsider.com, but this was from 2013. And in 2013, Sports Illustrated Swimsuit was a $1 billion empire. And but this is a 2013, so I mean, we had internet already, and they were talking about newsstands, how many would sell. I think I wrote it down here. Yeah, they So SI traditionally would sell more than 1 million copies, and that's more than, and the swimsuit edition in particular. So that's 10 at the time, 10 to 15 times more than the regular issues. And at the time, it was $6.99, and you think, oh well, magazines. Who buys magazines now, and why is it such a big deal? But the the magazine industry in 2020 is still, it's worth $28 billion. That's $28 billion, you know, magazines. So you think magazines don't sell? It's still a huge industry considering we have internet. I think what gets people is when they're in the grocery store and they're waiting and you see that clickbaity title, because it's always about that clickbaity title that makes you, pick up the magazine, and then you probably end up buying it. That's what I think. And then, going back to, growing up, and my friend going over to his house and he having Sports Illustrated, because I didn't have internet. Um, I didn't get internet till way, way later. Also, uh, I didn't even have cable, so I would always just go around to my friend's house around the block where I grew up, and he had cable. That's where I got to watch like Monday Night Raw here and there. Although my parents were strict, but that's where I would see the swimsuit cover models. Most of the time, it as one of the cover models of this year, Kim Kardashian mentioned, they was skinny girls, mostly blondes, and I think maybe they've had three Latinas in their whole history, and I believe Brazil, Mexican, and Argentina. I could be wrong. But this year they went with Kim Kardashian, and as one of them. So they selected for Sierra, and then the other one is like Yim Nu, which I know she was in the magazine last year, but then they also decided this year to give her the cover. And then I forget her name, but basically her last name is Musk. I forget her first name, but that's Elon Musk's mom, and May Musk. That's her name, May Musk, and she is 74 years old, and she becomes the oldest person to grace the covers of Sports Illustrated. So they're trying to show more exclusive to the, I guess, try to be more. If you look back at the history, most of the models were white, so diversity, different sizes, different ages, different curves, and once again, what does it have to do with sports? Don't know, but this magazine has been pumping out every year since 1964, one magazine, and it it even now to this day, and especially with the controversy that's going on already, I'm sure it's good for the sales. So the Kim Kardashian, some people are upset at her always, of course. They're mad, and I didn't even know this because I don't really follow pop culture anymore. Like I said, I'd rather go out and work out, but there's some giant Met Gala that I just found out about 2 weeks ago. I guess it's the in thing, and she wore this dress by Marilyn Monroe, the original one from what I gathered, and she had to lose 16 pounds in 3 weeks. So a lot of people are saying, why should she be on the cover? That's not good. She said she didn't starve herself or anything like that, but that she would wear a sauna suit and go on the treadmill and really, really restrict what she ate. So this, dietitian said that that's not healthy. The cutting weight so fast is not healthy. And, I agree, but they never say anything about that. The only person I hear saying that is Joe Rogan and probably the fighters, but that's bad. Boxers, MMA fighters, and then we put high school kids through it in wrestling, weight cutting, which, weight cutting so rapidly, to me, that's not healthy for you overall. But we've been doing that for a long time. But of course, they want to choose. I'm not pro Kim Kardashian. I'm not against. I'm just neutral, but I just think it's fascinating. That's one of them. So they, Sports Illustrated was saying that, she's many times she could have crawled into a little dark hole, and she's kept coming back and kept coming back, and she showed resilience. So they thought she would be a good representative for the cover. And then the other controversy has to do with Jordan Peterson. So Jordan Peterson, I guess, decided to quit Twitter because that Yim Nu, he decided to tweet to his 2.7 million followers that she was ugly, and he got attacked for it. And it's pretty funny that he quit Twitter for kind of basically what he did to her. Uh, because he's like, no one asked his opinion. Hey, do you think she's ugly? I also think it's funny with society now that you can't say if, hey, I mean, you really shouldn't say it if you have 2.7 million, but there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, or even saying that person's ugly. There's a lot of ugly people. There's a lot of good looking people. There's a lot of average people. What are we going to just lie and say that everybody's beautiful? I think George Carlin had a joke about that, saying that that all babies are like, not all babies are good looking, and how do you think when we get ugly people in the world, or something like that. And yeah, I find it funny, the whole Jordan Peterson. I there was no need for him to say that, but if he thinks she's ugly, I, the the clickbait titles, going back to that, they're he's shaming her. uh is he really shaming her? Is he like going out of his way to try and like ruin her life? And he just said one thing. Another clickbait title, it said, let's see here, I saved a couple that were very interesting. uh but yeah, I don't know if anybody here in the audience listening would like to come up and tell me if they actually like the magazine, if they actually read the magazine, if they actually order it. uh you know I I really tried to look. I spent like 20 minutes trying to find how many issues they sell. Um, couldn't really narrow it down, but overall, I still would like to see more representation, more Latinas. That would be nice in the future. Uh, as I mentioned, I think there's only been three. So I like the direction that they're going, even though it really has nothing to do with sports, but it's a moneymaker, and Sports Illustrated is a business, and they've kind of always been in the cutting edge. And I think that's kind of why the magazine has been popular. They did like some 3D thing on PlayStation, where they could actually see like behind the scenes. And I think one time they made a movie. So they've always come up with different things, trying to stay cutting edge. You don't really hear about other magazines doing that. Trying just, I, you don't really hear about magazines period anymore. But they're this is probably, I think the last time I heard big news about a magazine was when I think Playboy decided to change the way the inside. I think they went with no nudity. It's been a while, but that was the last time I heard big talk about magazine. But every year you hear about the swimsuit edition to Sports Illustrated. Brilliant marketing. I you know, and this year I think they did a good job, because one is with Musk, you're showing that she says she's been modeling since age 16. And, you know, I think a lot of people, especially in the United States, we, and especially in sports, it's such a young person's game, young man's or in fighting and anything like that. It's always like, let's NFL, let's cut this guy. He's like 25 years old. He's too old. Let's cut him and bring in a young guy who we could pay less. In any sports, like, let's 30 years old. That's old for basketball, or that's ancient. And in reality, you can see this in different uh, players, like for example, Tom Brady. If you take care of yourself, if you work out, longevity, as long as no major injury, and he did have one major injury once where he was out for a whole season. But if you take care of yourself, you can still keep playing at a high level versus someone who doesn't, and it'll go away even quicker. Uh, I think one perfect example is James Harden and uh, LeBron James. I think they're both 37, but Harden is like we he it's no secret that he goes to strip clubs and parties all night and stuff like that. So he's probably not in shape. He's probably living the lifestyle from what I've seen. I do see him train with certain people. I know he has to work out, but then you take someone who, like LeBron James, who spends $1 million a year on his body, in personal training, nutrition, supplements, things of that nature. I know so when and you see, not he's not the man in the NBA anymore, but he put up a bunch of high stats where like Harden can't do that even if he wanted to, and it all just has to do with the way you take care of yourself. And I want to do a show on that because there's so many examples of how, uh, in all sports there's always those people that if you have the desire to, and I think that goes in everything. Just because you hit a certain age doesn't mean you have to stop, or you can't do it. I play basketball. I was playing with for a while. Now he's finally older, but I was playing. He was in his 60s, and finally he's got like some issues where he can't play basketball anymore. But I always thought, man, I want to be the older guy, shooting around. I don't ever want to just be the guy. If all goes well and no major health issues, I would like to be mobile. I would like to, uh, not saying I have to play, you know, I could just go and shoot around at some point when it all goes. But I would love to be mobile, and no matter what you're doing, what you're pursuing, there shouldn't be an age limit. And so it's great that Mae Musk at 74, finally after what, six, she started modeling at 16, uh, gets on a cover of a magazine, and it'll probably, it's probably be the biggest magazine she's probably ever done. So I I I, I think that's great. I Sierra, she's I think she's married to Russell Wilson. I could be wrong, but uh, she's a singer. If no one knows who she is, I haven't really heard anything new from her. But then again, I haven't really been following music too much ever. So I used to DJ, but since the whole pandemic, I kind of stopped that. So uh, the last two albums that I actually went out of my way to get, and I'm listening to them now, is the Kendrick Lamar and Bad Bunny. I'll be doing a future show on music because that's one of my most popular podcast shows out there. Actually, it is. It's the number one show. So I could tell that you, as my listeners, enjoy talking about music. I'll cover different things about the beats per minute and different types of music, and also apps. I'm still testing different apps because they have different apps that offer different types of music that kind of go with your pace, and then just the the other things that I mentioned about not just for running, but just uh, I went through that episode, and just I'll break it down for you guys and give you a part two, Music 2.0 2020. And I getting back to the magazine here, it went off a little bit. But yeah, man, the magazine, it's cool. I've never actually bought it. I've never bought the magazine. I've seen the magazine. I'm not really a magazine buyer. I Yeah, and even when it was like popular, I was not a magazine buyer. My sisters were, that back in the teens, they got those teen magazines with those teen heartthrobs. Now you could just all the girls seem to like Bad Bunny, so you could just go to his Instagram. Everything has changed now. I think being on the cover though of this one, it brings you some notoriety, some sort of extra publicity, and it seems to be like the magazine now that now and has for a while. It makes you, especially. I never heard of May Musk before, to be honest. I mean, I know Musk has a mom, but I never knew she was a model. I never, and maybe she got the opportunity because that's Elon Musk's mom. But if she's been doing it since she's 16, more power to her. And I can't knock someone who's been doing it for that long. Uh, and I'm just checking the headlines real quick here. So yeah, it seems to be Jordan Peterson, the biggest criticizing. But I so yeah, Sierra is married to Russell Wilson. I just confirmed. So Russell Wilson just got traded to Denver, uh, Denver Broncos, and so they're moving over there. And for her, I was reading a little article saying that this is a defining moment for her husband, which is true. I think they're a talented team, and it'll be very interesting because they went from a defensive minded coach to an offensive minded coach. They're bringing Russell Wilson, who can, basically wants to win. So they were one of the top ranked defense last year, but now that coach is not there. But we'll see. I'm not a Broncos fan, but good luck to them. They've been there. I think they've been together for a while now. So uh, Russell Wilson tweets support for you, Sierra, uh, after swimsuit cover. You inspire me. So I didn't have a chance to read this one, but you could just basically, what I did was go to Google, and I've been trying to add any sort of article that I pull, put it on the show notes. There's a few I still have to go back to, but everything that I do, I try to research it. This one was kind of last minute improv. I'm going to be testing the titles. That's what I'm doing. I don't know if I like this title or not. I was going to call it, and you guys can let me know in the comments. Uh, I was going to call it, should Kim Kardashian be on the cover of Sports Illustrated? But I thought it was too long. So I went with Sports Illustrated Swimsuit cover models 2022. Um, I was going to go with SI. That's like their new abbreviation, SI. But I'm not sure if a lot of people would know what that means. If I just put SI swimsuit, they'll be like, well, what is he talking about? So the way the magazine's still surviving through the brilliant creation of their clickbaity titles, I'm gonna keep playing with different titles and basically just trying to figure out how I can. The more I do this show, the better I get for you guys. So I appreciate all the support. I think I'm over at 5,400 downloads as a podcast, not including YouTube or Fireside. So I appreciate everybody. My Twitch is growing, so thank you. If you want to follow me, my name is Coach Ray Z on all platforms, from TikTok to Twitter. I did not quit Twitter like Jordan Peterson. Also, if you want to follow Athletic Definition, I would appreciate the support. Trying to get paid by YouTube. I need the hours. I'm impressed by the hours of view time so far on YouTube. It's different. It's so funny because like I'll have the most popular thing. That's like the music's my most popular downloaded episode, and on YouTube I think it has maybe like 2 views or something like that. But YouTube has so much competition as far as music and workout. In fact, because I'm always like googling trends to see what's going on in fitness, I was thinking of you know changing up the show a little bit on Friday and kind of doing like a recap of what happened, because there's a bunch of little, I follow a bunch of different sports, from boxing that sometimes don't get coverage. Even recently at a small wrestling event, one of the wrestlers, I, and this was very, very, I would say, small event. One of the wrestlers was pretty jacked up. He was like the champ, and he knocked the water out of some guy's, or his drink out of his hand, and the guy got mad. And he was a pretty big guy with a belly, like, and so he headbutted the guy, and that just started a brawl. And they just went at it for a little while. Security came, but you won't see that like on you won't see that on ESPN or anything like that. But and then uh, Joe Rogan mentioned that he thought LeBron James would probably be on steroids because let's see, because of his physique, and his fans kind of just brushed that off. So I read a lot of different just fighting articles, and I'm gonna kind of do a recap of what's going on, because I'm also following the NBA finals, and Now Mark Cuban's team advanced. If anybody watched that, that was man, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe Celtics. Milwaukee. They didn't seem the same. I know I did a show. I did a show this past week, and where I kind of talked about the Canelo fight, the UFC fight, and then the playoff games. I kind of, and you can, if you want to hear it, you can go back, and I did some test shows on Fireside called the Football Examiner. I did like eight. I did week to week handicapping of the games, but my schedule got really hectic, uh, so I couldn't finish it off because I was doing some sort of competitions. I can't remember exactly, so I didn't really do that. But I think if I just do like a recap, so this Friday I'm working on a guest. I'll let you guys know. But if not, I'm gonna be talking about the the final four teams now in the NBA, to see who will win each series. You know what you guys think. Talk about the fight. If you saw the Canelo fight, are you disappointed? Do you think that he tried to do too much? Do you think he's still going to want to do his other ambitions of the other fights that he wants to have? Um, Pursuing greatness, when you lose, people just talk shit all the time. But I admire the people that will chase it. It doesn't matter if you fail. It When you're on a big stage, it seems like, you know, he should be really bothered by that, because I know he wanted to be known as the greatest Mexican fighter. But I saw like his on TikTok him singing karaoke the same night at a club with his wife and having a good time. So he didn't seem bothered at all chasing greatness. I would like for him to continue. I'm not a big Canelo fan. I thought he ducked some fighters, but that's boxing. I thought Mayweather schooled him, but I like the fighter he's become into and the challenges that he's taking on. So I hope he keeps it up, even though he lost. We'll see. There's a rematch clause. I don't think he wants that right away, because I think he would lose right now. This guy was too strong. And then all the UFCs, the main event was good too. So I'll be talking about any fights coming up, basketball, and all the little things that you will not find on ESPN, because that's what I cover. The average Joe working out. The I've sent out so many emails to people that I see locally on Instagram. It's almost like Instagram shows them to me, and then I'm like, oh, this person's doing very cool stuff with fitness or coaching or doing something unique, and I send them an email. I'm just waiting for responses, and we'll see how that goes. But so far, it's been a great journey. I once again want to thank everybody for joining. My name is Coach Ray Z. I believe this is episode 107. So the next goal is 500. You could come along with me. As I mentioned, I'll be also doing more. So I do the show every Thursday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time zone. But I'm going to try and do it more often, because I'm trying to get paid on YouTube. So I need more content. So for me to get paid on YouTube, that means I have to do more shows. But the scheduling is the tough part. So since today I had a little free time, I'm like, I'm gonna do an improv show, see how it goes, see if my fans are interested in talking about the models. The last thing on that I remember reading too is that, a lot of feminists too are against that as well. Since the history of it, Sports Illustrated had to deal with people unsubscribing, thinking that they're showing women in like a, I forget exactly what they said, but that they're for male consumption. And and I believe I was reading in 2015, if I remember correctly. And if you want to know, I'll link the article. It was on the businessinsider.com. I believe that's where I got it. They said that in 2015, I don't know who they had on the cover or what, but I guess they were getting a lot of people unsubscribing. So they started giving you the option where if you want to get the magazine, you can get it with the swimsuit edition or without for a different price. So it's always been controversial. It's always been a great topic. I got to figure out something controversial to, have this arena filled here of, it's a virtual stage arena. I wonder how many people I could actually fit in the studio. I don't know. But if you listen and you want to be in the studio audience, request access to Fireside. If you go to my athletic definition page, you can see a link on the bio, or just go to the App Store and download Fireside and then request access. Or if you know me personally, send me a DM and I'll get you in the audience. I want to thank everybody who's come in and out of the show. Appreciate it. I will see you this Friday with all new shows. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, it's been Coach Ray.